Welcome back to the Yo Hockey Show. Now, today, I'm going to be telling you my thoughts on the current race for the Calder Trophy, it's not the Cup. The Calder Cup is the actual AHL trophy. It's the trophy. So, the Calder Rookie of the Year. The current race for Rookie of the Year. I have the current stats of all the guys. I'm just going to go run down the list and tell you who I think has the best chance of winning it, who's going to win it right, if it ended right now. Well, let's just jump into that right now. If it ended right now, Matty Beniers would have to win it. I mean, he's currently leading rookies in points, and that's not really the deciding factor. Last season, of course, the winner of the trophy was Moritz Seider, who I personally think should have won it. I'm very glad he did. But he didn't have the most points. That was Michael Bunting, right? And I think he was actually tied, or he was 1 point behind Zegras, maybe. I kind of forget exactly. But Seider won because he was a defenseman. He got 53 points as a defenseman in his first year. And, I mean, if you do that as a defenseman in your first year on Detroit of all teams last year, you deserve to win it. But this year, I don't see a defenseman coming out with this trophy. And Matty Beniers, he showed last season in his little stint, was it 9 points in 10 games or 10 points in 9 games, something like that. I mean, he's just making that happen this season. He's got 25 points right now. He's currently tied with 11 goals, and he has 14 assists. Beniers, I mean, the Kraken, too. I said it in my season preview that I think Beniers has the best chance of winning this trophy. He showed that he was great last season, and Beniers, Burakovsky, and Bjorkstrand, those guys they brought in. Bjorkstrand not so much, but Burakovsky and Beniers just lighting up for the Kraken. The Kraken doing great this season. That's exactly what I mean, look at that. Once again, I'm always right about what I think. And Beniers, just as I said, is popping off. He's doing great. He's doing absolutely fantastic for the Kraken. And in return, I mean, what a pick for the Kraken. In their first season, was he third or second overall? They pick him up, and now already he's playing like a franchise level center. Okay, maybe not exactly, but you know what I mean. He's definitely playing to that second overall, third overall pick, whatever it was, standard that you'd want. So good pickup for the Kraken. And then they get Shane Wright, who's playing good in the juniors right now, in the IHF, whatever, World Juniors, whatever you want to call it. Hey, they're doing great, so good job for the Kraken there. But Beniers right now definitely leading for the Calder Trophy Rookie of the Year race right now. I wish they just called it the MVP, Rookie MVP, because that would just make things so much easier. Because people, I mean, I know what all the trophies are for, but I mean, I remember when first starting, if someone told me what the Vezina's for, I guess I'd go like the best goalie, but then, like, anyways, whatever. I wish they would just say MVP for rookies. But then coming in at a surprising second place right now, leading in second in points for rookies, is Matthias McKelly from the Arizona Coyotes. Now, I actually got to see him right up close and personal. I went to a preseason game for the Coyotes, and I remember seeing him actually, and I'm very, I mean, I run a somewhat hockey YouTube channel, and I pay attention to a lot of these things, and especially for the Coyotes, I mean, right there, I personally never heard of the guy, and I was like, I saw him, and I don't think he was very big, and I was like, I kind of like that guy, McKelly. I think I made a joke about him to, like, my family who was with me, and I remember making some sort of, like, Italian joke. It was stupid, but I remember making it, and here he is. He's currently leading rookies this season with assists, and he's second in points on the Coyotes of all teams. So right now, if you want to give that, like, that situation kind of boost to a player, McKelly getting 19 assists, 22 points for the Coyotes. I mean, personally, he's only 3 points behind the Kraken. To me, I just wonder certain times, like, what if you switch their positions? Like, what if Beniers was on the Coyotes? Would he get the 25 points? And if you put McKelly on the Kraken, what would he do? So it's just kind of an interesting question to kind of ponder there, is what if McKelly was on a good team like the Kraken, well, good, above average team in the Kraken. So it's an interesting situation there, except the problem is that he doesn't have, the one thing that's going to hold McKelly back is that he doesn't have the sexy appeal, you know. Beniers, he's on the Kraken, the new team. He was a second or third overall pick, whatever the heck he was. Like, he's got a story going with him. Cole Perfetti, he's Canadian, I think. Like, they got, like, he's in Winnipeg of all teams, you know, that's actually playing good. Like, a lot of these guys have, like, a story to go with them. And McKelly, he's on Arizona for one, already going to drag him down. And he's also, no one really knows who he is. No one's paying attention to him. So he just doesn't really have that going for him. And last season, Sider, there was an appeal to him. There's a draw to pick a guy like that. Bunting led, but then you take away that Toronto thing. So McKelly, he's kind of going to get held back because of that whole, he's in Arizona. He doesn't really have that draw to his name. Now we got Cole Perfetti, who is tied for third place. He's got 6 goals, 14 assists. Now, Perfetti's the type of guy that I've always thought was going to become a great he's a good prospect. He's going to grow. He's going to become great. He seems like one of the prospects that isn't going to actually fail. And he's doing great right now. And I do think that of some of the names on this list, I'll get to another one down here, but Perfetti on the Winnipeg Jets, he has the best chance to actually keep performing well and actually maybe like go on a big streak and become top of the list. Because the Kraken are playing great, but they're just above average. The Winnipeg Jets right now are playing pretty good, and he does have a lot of talent to play with. Say there's an injury to who knows, whatever, and he gets to play with Scheifele and Ehlers, let's just say, or Scheifele and Connor. Let's say that happens. I mean, he could get a bunch more assists there. He could get a couple more goals. So Perfetti is in the best position to actually keep growing, and that's kind of what holds back McKelly as well, is that he's not going to actually grow. Sure, maybe Keller goes on a big streak and he gets a little bit more assists, but he's not going to have that big benefit of the doubt with that whole team. But Cole Perfetti, he actually has that chance to actually get a good line. Maybe he gets a good look at the coach and he starts going on a run and he's got a team to actually play with him. Unlike guys like McKelly and Beniers, who maybe the Kraken start to stall a little bit. So that he has the best chance to actually keep growing and be more consistent, I guess. Mason McTavish of the Ducks tied with him with 20 points, and McTavish is another guy where I think he does have that kind of story going with him. He's kind of got that appeal, being the captain of Team Canada last juniors, I think, something like that, and he was just absolutely incredible. I mean, what was that for? It wasn't World Juniors. It was whatever was going on. Was it? Doesn't matter. McTavish, I mean, just the plays he was making there. I mean, he's got like that heart and soul. He's got that character. He's got that personality. He's got like that drive that people like to hear. And McTavish, I mean, 20 points on the Ducks too. I mean, he's got Zegras there with him. So there's kind of like I don't know what the right word I'm trying to come up with here, but he's also got younger guys to play with him too. Like, he's a part of the new generation of the Ducks as well. So McTavish, I gotta say, I don't see him winning it, mainly because of the team that he is on. He's not gonna get a lot of opportunities with the Ducks like McKelly, and I just think he's gonna be held back by that. But he definitely has I think for a guy like McTavish, if he was instead on Winnipeg, I think he would definitely win this. Winnipeg, I think, does need like a kind of not a grinder, but that kind of like grind it out kind of player. And McTavish on the Jets, I think, would work a lot better. But that's neither here or there. So moving on to the 2 Buffalo guys who are both tied. Jack Quinn, who was a highly praised draft pick, and it was really funny because Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes, and I remember that was a thing for some reason. And it's just kind of funny. But anyways, 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points. Jack Quinn. I mean, Buffalo, they're an exciting team. They're energetic. They're young. They're playing well enough to actually have names for themselves. And if they play with Tage Thompson, like I said, superstar in the making, but no. But look at me. I'm right again. Jack Quinn, 17 points, along with J.J. Peterka with 7 goals and 10 assists. Just both of these guys, I don't see them winning this trophy either. It just doesn't seem likely. It's kind of the similar situation with Anaheim, where these 2 guys, at least McTavish, I think if he was placed on another team, he could really run with it. But I think Jack Quinn and J.J. Peterka, I just don't think on Buffalo. I could see them ending up with at least 40 points, but that's just not going to get them to that. That's just not. They're just not going to win the cup. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to win the MVP. Guys like McKelly, they have like that opportunity. I mean, they're already at 22 points, just a few less behind the number 1 rookie right now. So it's just these 2 guys. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to unless they become the Nicholas Backstrom to Thompson's Ovechkin, and I just don't see it happening. It's just not. It's just not gonna. Moving on to a guy that I think has an interesting case, which is Wyatt Johnston, who is on the Dallas Stars. 11 goals, so he's tied with Matty Beniers in goals, but he's only got 6 assists. This is the type of guy like Perfetti, but now we have a case with Dallas. Tied for number 1 team. We're now not tied because Vegas won yesterday. Whatever. In the West, Dallas, with the way they're playing, I think Johnston has a real opportunity, especially if he gets somehow on the power play or something. If he could find that just goal-scoring spot, and let's say he gets to like 25 goals, he gets 14 more goals this season, and I would say if he ties with Beniers, let's say they both end up, so he's got 17, he's got 25. Let's just say Beniers ends up with 50 points, right? And let's say Wyatt Johnston ends up with 45 points, but his are like 25 goals and 20 assists. And Beniers, he gets like 15 goals and 30 assists, or say something like that. I personally think goals would be more important, but at the same time, it's going to be hard, because Johnston, I feel like, also has the same thing. No one really knows who he is. No one's really talking about him. Beniers, people know Beniers. Johnston, he doesn't have that story appeal with him. He doesn't have that whole background going behind him. So that's going to hold him back, even if he does win the Rocket Richard Trophy of the rookies. So a lot of these guys, they just don't really have that story going for them. I think the ones that do is Beniers, Perfetti, and McTavish. They have that name appeal. The other ones, McKelly, no one's talking about him. Quinn and Peterka, people are interested in them, but Tage Thompson's the one with the spotlight there. And Wyatt Johnston, he's not the story going on. He's not even the second story. He's like the third story behind like the top line and Sagan. Like, it's just not going to happen there. But then we got the goaltender. So I looked up who, like, the leading Calder candidates are. And the 2 goaltenders were Pyotr Kochetkov and Logan Thompson. And between the 2, Thompson he just won last night, so it's not 17. He has 18 wins now. Kochetkov, of course, had that big story coming in last season, and now here he is playing good. But he does only have 10 wins. Maybe it's 11 now because of yesterday, but last time I checked, 10 wins. Now, he does lead the league with 3 shutouts. That is a big deal for him. He leads the league in shutouts, but he also, only playing 10 games, so almost half of what Logan Thompson has played, but he has a 1.94 goals against average, which is second in the league right before, I think, who was it? Is it Anderson? No, it's not Anderson. I can't remember who it is. And he's got a .928, which is also Olmark. I'm so stupid. Linus Olmark's number 1 in both categories, and Pyotr Kochetkov is second in both categories with a 1.94 and .928. Both amazing numbers. These are amazing numbers. It's just a shame that he hasn't played the same amount of games. I would say if he was up to 15 wins instead, and he was only like 2 or 3 behind Thompson, I would give him the lead. Except Thompson, he is playing the games. He's the number 1 starter goaltender there. However, he is only 16th in goals against average in the league with a 2.64, and I didn't write what it is in save percentage, but it's kind of in the same category, .915, which is also really good. But he does, I don't know if he's second or third with wins with 18 now. So between the 2 of them, personally, I think it's really hard for a goaltender. I think everyone knows it'd be really hard for a goaltender to win the MVP candidacy. I think a real only contender would have been like Ottinger last season for his playoff efforts. So this year, I just think neither of them are really stealing the show. I mean, Thompson's playing well, but he's not just watching his game yesterday against a team like Colorado, he kind of let in 2 harsh goals I didn't really like for them. So it's just against teams like Colorado, which are the type of teams you need to try to play hard to beat. You know, he can play well against, who cares, the Anaheim Ducks, right? He get a shutout against them. Who cares? Shut out the Avalanche, that's a different story, but I don't really think he was there for his team when they needed him, so he's kind of being held back for that reason for me. So, of the names on the current list, I would have to say I think Beniers definitely has the best case to win, but I would like to see this. I would like to see what happens if we do have a case where, let's say, the season ended next week, and let's say the points were like 27 to Beniers and let's say 25 to McKelly, I want to see what would happen there. Would McKelly get that like Arizona boost and be like, look what he did with this team and how he was actually producing with the Coyotes? While Beniers, he does have a good team to play with. So I'd like to kind of see that type of story. Personally, I would like to lean towards the guy in the Coyotes, not just because I like all the teams. I only have that there because it's the only few hockey things that I have. But I would like to see that happen because that's why I thought Seider should have won. Bunting, he got to play with Austin Matthews, right? He got to actually play with a great team. That's why I don't think he should have won. Seider, on a bad team, played phenomenal for a defenseman. And McKelly, on a terrible team, is playing pretty well compared to guys who are on an above-average team. So I'd like to see that story get played out. I would like to see it have a good close race between McKelly and Beniers. Before these two, who do I think has the best chance? I don't think McTavish has a chance. I don't think the Buffalo guys do. Perfetti has a good chance of being consistent and ending up with the number one spot, but I just don't think he's got the it factor to win it. So personally, I don't really see them winning it. Johnston, I'd like to see him win like the MVP for goal scoring of rookies, but I want to know if that would win him that race. So I think my number 1, 2, and 3 guys would go number 1, Beniers, 2, McKelly, and I'd like to see Johnston. I'd like to see that race happen. I want to see, like, McKelly being the assist master, Beniers being the best of both worlds, and Johnston being the number 1 goal scorer, and seeing how that tie would be settled. So I'd like to see all that happen, but that is all I have to say today. So please pick up your free subscription by hitting that red subscribe button. It's completely free. Just don't leave a like, not a dislike, but go down below to the comment section and tell me how stupid I am for choosing and saying the stupid and idiotic things I've said today. So tell me all that down below, and until next time, I have been your comfy dressed host, Owen. Too sweet. I hope you're having an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.